NBA Straya. How are you going? Hey, Yanni, right? You should be. Why is that, Jim? Well, it's Wednesday, June 11, Hump Day. The day before the rest of your life. I'm just saying. It's also the day before a pivotal Game 3 of the NBA Finals, which is pretty fun. So we're going to talk about that on today's very brief show. Just saying, it's going to be pretty fun. As you might be able to tell, I'm feeling a lot better. Unfortunately, old mate has been poleaxed by whatever absolutely poleaxed the baby squid and myself, and somehow has just missed the bigger squid. It's just insane. Anyway, so pulling double duty over here, but, you know, she'll be right. But that's it. Today's show, we're just going to preview Game 3, talk about a whole bunch of sort of storylines going into it, all that sort of fun stuff. We've got a little bit, bits and bobs of some news, etc. So I guess, just a little bit of a taster before tomorrow's pivotal Game 3, which will be pretty cool. So we're going to talk about some Knicks coaching, Giannis, all the good stuff. So I guess you better strap in. Oh, and we'll do a great moment in NBA Straya stat history because it is one of the single greatest moments in NBA Straya stat history that hit the other day. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. It is, I believe, episode 1285 of NBA Straya. God damn. Let's go.
This is Josh Giddey.
G'day, this is Andrew Gaze.
This is Jack White.
This is Joe Ingles.
This is Dyson Daniels.
This is Chris Anstey.
This is Matthew Delvedova.
This is Shane Hill.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Australia.
And you're listening and watching NBA Straya.
This is NBA Australia. Let's do it.
Watch out for the Shaq attack.
Well, you better actually watch out for the Dyson Daniels attack. I don't know if you've noticed, but he's doing some actual sort of reporting on the ground at the finals, which is pretty cool. Good job by the Bendigo Bandit, the rightful defensive player of the year, if you ask me. Right, let's start today's show the way we start every show here at NBA Show with the daily whip around. Oh, is it a whip crack? Is it a Jim? Yes. Usually we kind of just start with a bit of a whinge, but I'm just sort of, I'm over the hump of the sickness, getting down with the sickness. So feeling pretty okay. As mentioned, old mate, though, is not doing so great. But anyway, it's all good. We're sort of keeping on, aren't we? Little bits and bobs of news before we just get into the sort of Game 3 preview for today. As I mentioned, just a brief show today. Just sort of jump in, wet your beak for tomorrow's game. Get you all excited. Just, bit of a fluffer vibe here. One thing I didn't hit in. So, thanks to the legends who came along to the live show on Monday for the public holiday. We're out at Chris Anstey's pub, the Hotel Trentham in, of course, Trentham, Victoria. It was just awesome. Great morning, great afternoon. 1,000,000 beers were drank. The squids had a good time. Old mate, she kind of got stuck looking after them, but still, it was all good. The legends who popped up, we gave away a signed Dirk Nowitzki jersey, a couple of signed balls. It was awesome. Massive thanks to Chris for having us. It was great fun and just enjoyed having a chinwag. The one thing I forgot to mention, however, on that show was the NBA, in all their wisdom, responded to the, whinging of the masses, which includes me, in a surprise twist again. I didn't yell about this loudly enough on, I think, Friday, right? When we have the NBA Finals. You have Oklahoma City playing against the Indiana Pacers, right? Two very small markets, two of the smallest markets in the NBA. And we watch the Friday game, and you're like, gee, why doesn't this feel like a finals game? And you sort of think about it and you're like, wait a minute, there's nothing on the fucking court that says it's the NBA Finals. That's weird. And I'm like, of all the fucking dunderheaded bullshit that you could do as a league, number one of them would be to not showcase your fucking finals in a way befitting that show, like that status, that showcaseability of the highest level of your fucking product. And they're like, oh, I don't think we need to tell anybody it's the finals. They already know. Not if you're just some fucking casual. What are you doing? And then smash cut to Monday. And I'm like, hang on a second. There's a Larry O'Brien on that court. That's interesting. And it was digitally imposed because later it switched to a bit of the cursive NBA Finals font. How fun was that? The answer is very. I enjoyed it. And it was also quite strange because when they cut to the in-arena cameras from a different angle, it wasn't there on the actual court. So we're living in an AI world, says Jim. But anyway, well done to the NBA for getting bullied into fixing their shit and having us fucking point it out for them, you idiots. So well done to everybody involved in fixing that. All right, other little bits and bobs. Now, this one actually pertains to Game 3. It's Tyrese Haliburton's leg. Jim, is it okay? Maybe. So you might remember in Game 2, he's sort of limping around, is the Pacers superstar. And we sort of get like a little bit of news basically going, yeah, he's got lower leg discomfort. And look, I had to go to the physio yesterday doing the rehab on my Achilles and my shoulder. What I'm experiencing today is lower leg discomfort. But that's because I'm a wildly unfit fat bastard. Right? I'm not a primo athlete anymore. So I'm dealing with a lot of lower discomfort in everything. Haliburton says he's not going to be impacted by it. He reckons he's okay to go. There's no questions. It's okay. I don't know. I just don't like it if someone's limping around. Just a bit wobbly in my brain. But still, look, Haliburton's sort of the dude as well where you feel like, in much the same way as like Jalen Brunson, they sort of get knocked around a bit and he's kind of okay a little bit sometimes. Haliburton has, like, at least this year, I feel like in the past, Haliburton, if there's something off with him, he's kind of like completely off his feed. But either way, fingers crossed he's all good because I feel like Game 3 is a big spot for Tyrese Haliburton. As we said with Chris the other day, that was the game where you just want to put the foot on the throat, go for the jugular, fuck him up. And he didn't quite do that. So maybe it's because he's suffering from lower leg discomfort, Jim. Maybe, but still, no excuses. It's the NBA Finals. Some other bits of news before we get into the Game 3 preview. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Love this. There is no trade market or discussions for Giannis. He's not asking, and the Bucks aren't looking for one for a trade. So Giannis staying in Milwaukee confirmed. Or Outback Takehouse. Today's Flame Girl take is, this is clearly just a fucking leverage play. That's right. The hump day special at Outback is always going to be bloody stuffed camel humps. That's right. We go out in the Outback, find a couple of those feral fucking camels, chop off the humps, boom. Stuff them with a mincemeat, few spices, couple of chickpeas, boom. Bake that motherfucker for a couple of hours. It is delicious. It's basically like haggis, but fucking better. That's right. It's the hump day special, only at Outback. This is clearly just the Bucks going, yeah, he doesn't want out and we don't want to trade him. Shut the fuck up. Toronto, keep upping your offers. Love this. I love that. So what you're going to hear as these finals give us a couple of days in between each game is more and more of this fun, rampant speculation about Giannis, about KD, about Paul George, about Darius Garland, who, that's the other little bit of news, we'll get to that in a second, but he had toe surgery and will be out for the next 4 months, which includes obviously the start of next season. And also for me, just the rampant, again, we're just going to keep using the word rampant today, the rampant shitting on Cleveland after they lose was crazy. Mobley was hobbled. Garland is on one leg. Donnie Mitchell was out for a game. They were like the walking wounded These poor Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland! So anyway, look, Garland has obviously been thrown around a lot in trade discussions and will continue to be. But again, you got to remember, has just had surgery on his toe and will be out to start next season. Just saying, a bit weird. But otherwise, you got the KD trade speculation, San Antonio, Minnesota, whoever else is looking at them sideways, Houston. Basically, anybody with a couple of draft picks just to sweeten the pot over there. Over there. How you doing there, Phoenix Suns over there? Just to like wet Matt Ishbia's beak. And away we go. Right? It'll be like one pick and maybe a player or two. Because it's 37-year-old Kevin Durant. Who also, and that's the other bit of news about KD, is bored out of his fucking brain right now and just like letting loose on Twitter. It is great. So later on, after we've done the preview, we're going to just go through a bunch of KD tweets. It's like the magic tweet of the week, but bored superstar with nothing better to do in a really thin skin tweet of the week, I guess. Yeah. But anyway, so the Giannis stuff is obviously clearly for leverage, as they're like, hey, we don't want to trade him. He doesn't want to go. How many draft picks would you give us, Toronto? Just asking. Toronto being in the Giannis like sweepstakes is still fucking hilarious to me as well. It's like, we'll be great. It's like, you're going to be Milwaukee 2.0. But, not as even as good, maybe. So we'll see what happens. Other trade sort of gear out there. The Kings, there's a little bit of rumbling out there that they're targeting either Garland or Trae Young as well. I like that they've gone, geez, we need a point guard. It's like, you had a point guard, De'Aaron Fox. You fired the coach that he liked and then traded him for a fucking, like, bag of chips. Like, what are you doing, you morons? Just, Sacramento, this is the most Sacramento shit in the world as well, by the way, isn't it? It's like, geez, well, De'Aaron Fox doesn't like it here. We better trade him. For what? Not much. Okay. Now we need a point guard. Idiots. Sacramento, for a second there, they looked like they were being competent. And then they just recreated the shit Bulls of the last 5 years. Like, hey, no, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. It'll work this time around Domantas Sabonis, my beloved Souvlaki King, who doesn't play a lick of defense. Yeah. Anyway, looking at Trae Young for Sacramento, that'd be kind of funny. Like, that's the most king shit as well. It's like, hey, look at this guy. He's awesome. Everybody loves Trae Young. It's like, he went to the Eastern Conference Finals 4 years ago and shoots 40% from the floor. It's like, yeah, the most perfect king to ever kang. It's like curly-headed J-Will. But yeah, Garland, look, he's going to be up there in all of these trade discussions all the way through this offseason. It sucks that he's gotten the toe surgery, obviously, and will miss the start of the season. But I think teams who are vaguely smart should probably still kick the tires on him because I think he's a weapon. And if Cleveland are just like dealing with this cap crunch, swoop in now. Off you go. The other two little bits and bobs, Jason Kidd and the New York Knickerbockers of New York City, ? Because remember how the Knicks fired Tibbs? Do you remember that? It was like last week. And you know what they've not done? Replaced him. And now they're kind of like, hey, how about that Dallas Mavericks coach over there, Jason Kidd? And Jason Kidd's like, fucking, yeah. These idiots traded Luka. So, don't know if I want to stick around here for much longer, but I do have Cooper Flag. So, it's sort of, you're getting these weird sort of wars of words from different journalists. Like, the Knicks would love to hire Jason Kidd. The problem is, according to like Mark Stein, the most plugged in man there in Dallas, he's not looking to leave Dallas apparently. He's settled. He's got his family there. He's tight with Kyrie and AD. He's going to get Cooper Flag. Like, it's pretty interesting. And apparently the Mavs would deny permission to the Knicks if they were asked, but the Knicks haven't asked yet. And so, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's pretty interesting. And when there's smoke, there's always a little bit of fire with this sort of stuff. When coaches are just sort of like eyeing off a different job, it's either trying to get like an extension from their existing team or they're just like kind of fucking sick of the front office and them being jerks and trading dudes like Luka, who, by the way, looks jacked, which is amazing. He's on that LeBron diet. And then finally, we're all in trouble. Why is that, Jim? Wemby has been training with Shaolin monks. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's terrifying. He's out there shaving his head, training with Shaolin monks. He's going to come back full-blown Kareem. It's unreal. Way to go, Wemby. He's going to go out there and just like be a combination of Bruce Lee, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell. I don't know. Thierry Henry. He's French. Good stuff. All right, there you go. That's all the news. Who cares? Plenty to dig into on tomorrow's show when we actually wrap up this game. But for now, let's do it. The Game 3 NBA Finals preview right after. Let's do a very quick break and come back with it after this.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Kidd.
This is Darryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Illy.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You listen to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA
And you're listening
Australia.
to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
All right, let's do this Game 3 preview for tomorrow. So we're going to 10:30 start, your Thursday morning Game 3. Pivotal, because it is a 1-1 series. And I think the first thing I thought about Game 3 was everybody's already crowned OKC as the champions after winning Game 2. Because, yes, they basically won Game 1, but last time I checked, they actually didn't. The bloody Pacers won Game 1. So now the Thunder, who are, by most estimations, the better team, go into Game 3 as favourites on the road, which is pretty unusual for a finals game, of course. Because usually when you're in the NBA Finals, both teams are very good. You see, it just makes sense when you think about it. And fascinatingly, when the series is tied 1-1, the winner of Game 3 eventually wins the NBA title 80.5% of the time. So I guess Game 3 is pretty bloody pivotal, isn't it? Right? It's fascinating how this is all set up. So everybody's already anointed OKC as, they could, this just feels like bloody the 2000 Lakers. When, you know, just sort of stuff like that. You're like, bro, 2001, like, just 2001 Lakers, right? Just, they got out of nowhere, bang, look at that, the Sixers did it to them. And it's just the same thing here with this Pacers team. It's like, is it though? I don't know. Indiana are really, 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 really good still. And they just find ways to figure their own shit out against you. Rick Carlisle's a really good coach. Haliburton's an awesome point guard. And I think one of the things we sort of talked about with Chris in on Monday's show, and a lot of his point was like, you know, to be that sort of top 5 player in the NBA, that's the sort of game you got to take over. You've got to at least dictate it. You've got to like play it at your own speed, this sort of stuff. And it is pretty hard when you're Haliburton, I think, to sort of do that sort of stuff because, as people have pointed out, he is part of an ecosystem of offense rather than being like the fulcrum, being the one dude who does all the things like SGA perhaps. So, I don't know. It sort of comes down to this massive, massive question of, all right, well, can Indy literally just play the way they want? That's so much of what this entire finals is going to come down to, is if they find a way to just break open this OKC defense just a little bit and, you know, not turn the ball over and continue to stop OKC from actually really hurting them with those turnovers, which they've done pretty well on so far. So I guess you sort of look at this Game 3, we have Indy, who are 6-2 at home so far in these playoffs. but are 0-3 in game threes so far, including 2 of them at home, right? So they lose both game threes at home to Cleveland and the Knicks, and lost game 3 in Milwaukee after winning the first 2 games at home against them in the first round. So they're 6-2 at home, and the thing that sort of sticks out the most when you look at this game is OKC's road record in these playoffs. They've just not been as good on the road as they've been at home. OKC are still a pretty young team. We get that. That's how these things happen. But they go into this game 3 on the road in the NBA Finals as 5.5-point favorites, despite not having covered a line on the road at all in the playoffs. They're 0-7 against the line, against the handicap, whatever you want to call it. 0-7 against the spread in the playoffs on the road. It is incredible. In the last 20 years, no one has gone 0-7 against the spread on the road at any point, regardless of the series, first round, second round, whatever. Obviously, they wouldn't be 0-7 on the road, but still in the first round. But by the time you get to the later stages, no one's gone 0-7. And the Thunder have done it to start these playoffs, right? So the weird thing is, we've also seen a couple of game 3 favorites who are on the road in the last few years. You saw the 2023 Nuggets go into Miami as 3.5-point favorites. They beat them by 15. And the 2015 Warriors famously losing to the Cavs as favorites in game 3 of the 2015 NBA Finals. So it's pretty strange. It's just an odd record. And I think you sort of look at this and go, all right, so you don't cover the spread on the road. You don't cover the line. But OKC can still win this, right, Jim? So yes, they can. They're really good. They're an incredibly good team. And then you think about it even more, and you're like, they are a really good team. But 5.5-point favorites on the road in the NBA Finals, that's the 3rd biggest handicap in, I think, 20-odd years, right? Because I think it's like the 01 Lakers at Philly, the 96 Bulls at Seattle, and the 96 Bulls at Seattle again. So this is tied with like the Bulls Seattle, which the Bulls lost, BT Dub. Both of them, game 4 and game 5. I'm wearing the Seattle hat, I'm just saying. And now you have this moment of like, all right, well, you lose that one, but the Lakers beat Philly pretty handily in game 5. I think they won by 12 as pretty big favorites. It just doesn't happen very often to be that big of a favorite on the road in the finals when you've got 2 really good teams. So instantly, I'm always just going to be looking at OKC being such big favorites. We know they're awesome. But on the road, the track record is not many teams are that big favorites on the road in the finals. And OKC against the line have not been that good. In fact, they've been horrible. They're 0-7 in these playoffs against the line. They don't cover the spread. So I'm very clearly leaning towards Indy in this one. And it's really hard sort of to look at even the sort of ancillary stats of like OKC. Their shooting stats on the road. They shoot 48% at home, 43% on the road in these playoffs. From 3, they're at 37% at home and 29.6 on the road. Those are pretty stark differences, these playoffs, right? And we sort of saw them get absolutely steamrolled by Minnesota in one of those games in mini and then turn around and beat them. But there's sort of these moments where you go, well, they're still scoring 118 points per game on the road this season versus 122. But really, these playoffs, it sort of just slows down, gets into a bit of a grind. They don't shoot it as well. Their role players just don't quite step up in the same way. We saw was it the Wheel of Fortune of Death, where like the role players for OKC, 2 of them will step up and kick your ass. Last game was Wiggins and Caruso. Off they go. Who will it be in Indy in game 3? I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting setup because it's all going to come down to so much like their rebounding and their shooting as to whether or not OKC hang with them. And I think this is Indy's chance to at least sort of assert themselves just a little bit, get the game pointed in the right direction, and this one's fucking crucial, not be shit in the first fucking half. It's unbelievable. You look at the last two games, they've been absolutely horrible, the Pacers, in the first half, and then drop 60 plus on the Thunder, the best defense in the NBA, in both of the second halves. It's crazy. Seriously, Indy were down by 12 in game 1, down by 18 in game 2. You can't dig that big of a fucking hole. Well, they did in game 1 and they came back, but 12 points is not 18, right? So if they just don't dig a giant fucking hole in the first half and give themselves a shot, look out, because I think OKC is 63-9 when leading at halftime this season. 63-9! I'm no math magician, but that's fucking chaos. What are we doing? So anyway, my lean is towards Indy. I think if Haliburton has just a really, really, really solid bounce back game and Indy can sort of dictate the pace a little bit at home with that crowd behind them, with their role players shooting even just a little bit better, they can cover that 5.5. And I kind of think, yeah, they could even win it outright. And as always, if you think that team can win, then you take the points. Some other little bits and bobs. The over-under for this one, it's gone under in the first game, over in the second game, on the last shot of the game, by the way. But Indy, as I've sort of like alluded to, I like them in this game. When they win these playoffs, the Pacers have scored 117, 123, 129, 119, 120, 121, 129, 114, 138, 114, 130, 125, and 111 points. So if you think that Indy are winning or covering, it's probably going over. So the total is 228.5. I also kind of like the Indy team total, which I think is 111.5. So if you sort of think they've got a bit of a chance, if they can dictate terms, if they can play at their pace in this game, first game back home, boom. I'm kind of on that, kind of on the over. Off we go. If they get off to the fast start, as I said, OKC bury teams when they're up at the half. Indy, the start is crucial. They have to get off to a flyer. We saw them do it to the Knicks a couple of times and then just like really sort of just make the Knicks work so hard to get back into the game. OKC can always get back into the game. Their shooting can absolutely always just like turn up a notch. SGA, they will just grind you back into dust. But if you can just get up, stay up, off you go. A couple of player things. I really do like Haliburton in this game. I really like his points over and his assists over. He's averaged like 9.8 assists at home this playoffs run, right? And there's like advanced stats and everything that talk about potential assists, right? Which is an interesting stat where it's like, hey, did that idiot hit the shot or not? Right? In game 2, not so much. I actually really like his potential assists at home because, again, for the season, both the playoffs and the regular season, the Pacers had the 4th highest effective shooting rate at home, 57%, right? Very, very good. And they're the 2nd best assist to field goal made rate. So it kind of means that when they play well, they move the ball and then they hit their shots. And they do that better at home, better than just about anybody else. And so I think that sort of range for Haliburton of like a 17-8 sort of game is well in play. Love him for that. There's also the correlation of Siakam playing well and the Pacers just winning. I think they're 7-1 this postseason when he scored 20 plus. It's pretty good. So if you like them to win, probably a good Siakam game, probably a good Haliburton game. And the other one are the Indy threes. Role players shoot better at home. It's just the old adage, role players shoot better at home. They play better at home. They do. Miles Turner has shot 51.5% in the playoffs from downtown. He was 28% on the road. That's a pretty big difference. Pascal Siakam's 50% on threes at home versus 40% on the road, which is also still very good. And Obi Toppin, my beloved, ain't no stopping, Obi Toppin, 37% of his long-range shots at home in the playoffs, 30% on the road. So I like Obi Toppin for like 2+ threes in this one. I really like Naismith to start. Actually, I feel like Naismith's the sort of dude who we saw him hurt his ankle, right, at the end of the Knicks series and stuff. And it sort of feels like maybe it's like a week and a bit later. He's probably going to be feeling a little bit better. He's home, couple of extra days off. Maybe there's a little bit more lift in that shot. I like Naismith for 2+ threes as well. Nembhard, we talk about this all the time. He's like a 14-4-4, just almost lock when they're playing at home. And if they're good, Nembhard's a really big part of that. So I think those role players of Indy are obviously going to be super duper important. Ring it, ding, 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 ding. Oh, duh! But at the same time, it's so annoying because it's going to happen in Game 3 or Game 4. I think it's going to happen in Game 3. I think this team is really ready to step up and just have one game where they look like the Pacers. Like, the comeback in Game 1 was incredible. They just got out-muscled, out-worked in Game 2. I feel like the adjustments happen in Game 3. The Pacers come out ready and raring to go. And so, yeah, I think Haliburton looking pretty good. Some Toppin threes. Naismith feeling pretty good about himself. Nembhard doing his stuff. Siakam getting to 20 is absolutely crucial. On the OKC side, they've got to try to control the rebounding like they did in Game 2. So look for a lot of Hartenstein stuff. I would look to go, all right, Chet had a really good Game 2. I feel like Chet might then again have a bit of a roller coaster in Game 3 and drop a little bit. Might fade a couple of the Chet things. And then especially, look, SGA's a lock for your 30. And, I mean, one of our favorite things at the start of this entire NBA Finals run was SGA 30+ in every game. So I think he's probably okay. J-Dub on the road. We know that he's a swings and roundabouts kind of guy as well. And look, Caruso, Wiggins, is it going to be Cason Wallace? Is it going to be Isaiah Joe? Is it going to be Kenrick Williams? It's the wheel of fortune of death. One or two of them is probably going to step up. But if Indy can limit their influence off that OKC bench of those OKC role players, I think Indy have got a really good chance. Indy's defense hasn't been, lights out by any means, but I think it's been solid. And I think they've been decent. And when they play the way they want to play, it helped, like the offense feeds into the defense, as opposed to, I think, a lot of other teams, like the defense feeds into the offense. We know they're a really good transition team. They're a really good transition defense on both sides. But I think OKC, they do have these odd games where just the shooting completely fucking disappears. And I think they can probably still fight their way to over like 110 points. But I think Indy, this is the game where the actual offense sort of clicks. So prediction for this one, I'm going to say Indy 124, OKC 112. Right? As we've said, Indy, when they win, they score a shit ton. What was it 117, 123, 129, 119, 120, 121, 129, 114, 138, 114, 130, 125, 111. So just saying. How do we feel? Let us know. I think there's other ones like Dort, points, rebounds, assists, over 12.5. His shooting on the road is pretty horrible, but I still think he's probably got enough of an impact to get to 13 points, rebounds, assists. So we'll see what happens outside of that. And there you go. So that is the Game 3 preview for today. And before we go, hey, Kevin Durant. It's the tweet of the week. Oh, yeah. Let's do it. We're going to give him a bit of a magic one. That's the culture. Winning a ring is the main objective. Only guys who can't earn a ring use that as an excuse. Lol. Jordan, Tim Duncan, and Shaq would never talk like this. KD responds to Flip Duncan 83. That's why they came out of different vaginas. We different people, my boy. Okay. Is there any moment you feel regret for, or are you content, I want to say, with how your career has unfolded, KD Trey? I know you want to keep playing till the wheels fall off, but if you had to retire today, how do you feel about your career? KD responds, if I retired today, I would say, nah, it ain't time. Fuck is you doing? He's just replying to everybody. It is absolutely unreal. He's sort of just getting into these massive ones about I'm debating how I helped the team. I've never said we won a game solely because of me, but I do remember losing games and voicing that I could have done more to help us win. But you're not paying attention to every post-game press conference. It's a lot to do with that. It's obvious we view team sports different. KD is just going in. It is absolutely unreal. How much does it matter to the grand scheme of the season? And how much does that anything for you leading into the next season about what your teams win, all that sort of stuff? Dude is off his head. I love it. I want everybody to be like this. Jump in the comments. Get amongst the muck. Kevin Durant, you legend. All right. But that'll do us for today because, we've got a game 3 to watch tomorrow. So that'll be fun. What do you reckon? I reckon it's going to be unreal. Right, but remember, we will do a video tomorrow morning just in case anything changes. But probably to reiterate the point that we're taking Indy plus 5.5, probably the over, and definitely the team over for Indy as well if you think they win. Remember, you can find all of our vibes over at Dabble. Use the code NBA Straya. You can sign up using the link in our show description or in the link in our bio. You can also support the show by buying us a coffee, shouting us a beer. The link is also there in the bio there. You can join up as well. Membership, you get a exclusive podcast each time as well. Oh, and the great moment in NBA Straya stat history that I forgot to do. I'll tell you what. It's the Delhi Game 3. We're going to do a, the NBA Straya, great moment in NBA Straya stat history, dramatic retelling of Delhi's insane Game 3 of the 2015 finals where he put himself in hospital. Because Outback Jesus basically just carried his own, carried the team to the win. It was absolutely gnarly, but my voice is cooked, so I better get going now. I'll do a full breakdown of that tomorrow, but it is one of the greatest things in the history of the world. We've got the full script. Be on tomorrow's show. Right, otherwise, make sure you're following us on Twitter, Facey, IG, TikTok, and YouTube for all the videos, all the fun stuff there. Get around NFL Straya and rate, review, star, subscribe, all that good stuff on your podcast app. Wherever you listen, make sure you've reviewed it. Make sure you started. Make sure you subscribed. What are you doing? Big thanks always go to From Oslo for the intro and outro song. They rule. So do Househats, Joshua De Laurentiis, Fascinator, Goldmines, Ramshackle Army, Iowa, Sex Jedi, Green, and Dozers. They're behind all the tunes you hear throughout the show. So smash them on Spotify, Apple Music. However you listen to tunes, NBA Straya Sports Train Bands. So should you. All right, that's it. My voice is going because, I'm better, but it's still just a little bit delicate. She'll be right, but we'll catch you tomorrow, you dickheads. Wrapping up a massive, massive Game 3. Cannot wait. We'll speak to you then. This is NBA Straya saying, look after yourselves, would ya? And later, ho, son. Go Pacers. G'day legends, your mate Jim from NBA Straya here. That's right, I'm doing a thing at the end of the show. In the business we call it a thing at the end of the show, I guess. I don't know. Either way, all I'm just saying is just make sure you're rating, reviewing, starring, subscribing across all of the apps that you use for NBA Straya. Jump in the comments, give us a shout. We'll bang you in the air, nahs. Any other questions? I'll have a crack. I've got nothing better to do, basically. Also, just ask any questions, tell me what you want to hear from the show, and sing out and let us know. And of course, if you want to help support the show, jump on the old Dabble, use that code NBA Straya, click on the link that's in the show description or on the socials. It goes up whenever I do the morning vibes, etc. So if that's your thing, jump on there, use that code NBA Straya, and remember, look after yourselves, would you?